Welcome to our new lesson of Filmora. In this lesson, we're going to learn about color grading from the basic to also a bit of intermediate. So without any further ado, let's just hop onto our lesson by opening up Filmora on our device. As you can see on my screen that I have opened up Filmora. Now I'm going to do is going to be opening up and I'm going to upload my media folder. So I'm going to go off to import media folder. I'm going to find out for Filmora so that I can import the videos which I need or whichever one I need. Okay. There are a couple of components over here. We have photos, we have videos, we have audios, whichever one we want to use. So obviously I'm going to show it to you with a video. So I'm going to take one of the videos which I can over here. And I'm going to show you how you'll be able to, do a color grading or how you'll be able to color grade your videos in Filmora. So make sure to match it to the media. I kept it like this. There we go. Now you can also get, a property of this if you want to. Right click on it and then click on properties and it will show you what type of, content it is. Okay. You can try doing that or you can do it from over here. Properties. There we go. 1920 at a 1080p. Okay. So I'm going to do is just press on OK. So as we have all this, I'm going to do is just increase this player or make the size of this player a bit bigger so that we can see how it basically works. And I'm going to do is going to be color grading video. So you can see this is basically how it looks like on default. And one thing which I would suggest you doing most of the time is that when you color grade or do any edit, I would try to recommend you using an adjustment layer. But as this is just a lesson about how you will color grade your video, I'm going to show you with the exact, or let's say, our main component over here on our composition. So first things first is that section, and there we go. We have the basic HSL, and then the curves, and then we have color wheel. So use whichever one you want, and you can also have double, screen or split screen setup. It's basically up to you, whichever one you want to use. So first off, let's start off with our basics over here. Okay, there are a couple of it, so it will be a long video. So make sure not to skip any part because if you do, you might miss out on something important. Now, the next thing which you're going to do is going to be clicking on this preset option. Now, the preset allows you to use LUT or more. Okay, so you can see that we have a couple of effects which you'll be able to use as a preset. Now, there are a lot of these presets which you'll be able to use, but this is also quite limited. Okay, you can see we have black and white, boost color, then we also have this one over here, blockbuster, brighten, cool, color like cool max, darken, then we have as far east, fantasy, then we have epic, and then we also have elegant. So these are basically a couple of limited and basic ones, so you can try using them if you want to, but I most of the time try not to use it because I prefer color grading manually. Okay, so I'm going to do is just collapse it or hide it up. Then we have this LUT which you'll be able to apply. So from here, there are also a couple of effects which you'll be able to apply. Then we also have the strength of the effect. You can see we can apply it and you can also fix out the strength. It's basically up to you. And then we have is protect skin tones. You can also apply it. And then if you want to, collapse it or you want to hide it, you can also do that. Then we have is the color option, which is one of the main thing. So if you want to fix out the color of the video, you can also fix that. Let's say you want to fix the temperature. You want to fix the tint. You want to fix the vibrance, you want to fix the saturation, you can do all of that in color section. And if you disable it, you will basically see that it will get back to how it was. And you can also reset each and every one of these sliders so that it just gets back to its default self one by one. Because obviously you're going to need different type of aspects and different type of things to change, right? And you can also use keyframes on each and every one of these options. So it's basically up to you how you want to edit that. Then we also have is the light. So if you want to fix out your light, you can do that. And obviously on every video editing software, on every photo editing software, we have this different section just about lights, because there are also different type of components or different type of parts of the light which you can fix. So you can fix out like the exposure, then you can fix out the brightness, we can fix out the contrast, and we also have highlights, the shadows, the whites, the blacks. Fix out whichever parts you want. You can see I have reduced all the blacks over here. And I can also increase all the whites, but I'm going to do is just reduce it so that it just keeps, giving us this natural color. And you can also fix out the shadows if you want to. You can see this is quite bright. Highlight. And you can also disable all of this at once if you want to. And you can also, reset all these sliders. It's basically up to you how you want to work with it. So I'm going to do is just, hide this light section too. And then we have is the adjustment. You want to fix out the sharpness of the video. You can do that. You can make it crispier just by using this sharpness option. And obviously there's only one, slider or one of the aspect of adjustment, which is the sharpness. So you can fix that out on this adjustment section. Then we have is the vignette section. So vignette is basically the corner darkness. Okay. So it's kind of like, this window effect, which has, brightness in the middle, and on the corner it is rounded and dark. So you can fix it out. You can fix out the amount. You can see this is how it works. If you increase it, it basically gets, wider on the corner, and if you decrease it, it will get just darker on the corner. So you'll be able to fix that out. And most of the time I just try keeping it on 0 because I don't like using it that much. But obviously if you have any ideas of making your video a lot better, you can do that. Then we also have the size of the vignette. You can fix out the roundness. Let's say I'm going to just apply it. You can see the size which you can apply. Then we also have this. Then we also have the roundness, how you want it. You can see oval and also circle. Then we have is the feather. You can apply. You can see you can get this direct oval shape if you want to. You can also get, the blurriest one. Then we also have the exposure of what type of exposure you want. You can increase or decrease. And obviously you can fix out the highlights of, the vignette if you want to. You can see the corner. There we go. Now it's increasing, decreasing. It's basically up to you how you want to customize it. And if you want to turn it off, just click on the button of this and it will be turned off. Okay. So we're also done with this. And the last one we have is the color match. So you want to fix out the color. You can get the comparison view. So you can see, you can select the frame and you can see the current. The current one is like this. Now let's say I'm going to just fix out what to make difference over here. I'm gonna just keep it on this exact place, and then you'll be able to get just match it up. There we go. Now you can see both of them are quite the same. You'll be able to match out and compare, two of the elements and, make them the same. So you can see the color is a lot more better now. And you can also you can protect your skin tones if there are any subjects in the video. You can see, and you'll obviously be able to, undo the process too. And after you're done, you can also save all of these presets and all of these basic, color grading, which you've done as a custom preset too. And you also have keyframe panel, which you'll be able to use. So I'm not going to be showing you to write that right now. Now let's move on to HSL. Okay. So HSL, I'm going to do is just press on OK, and you can see that we have brightened, or the color is now popping up a lot more, right? You can just play it up. You can see this is showing you a really popped up color, right? So this looks a lot more better. So I'm going to do is just keep it just the way it is. So I'm going to do is just pause it or keep it at the beginning. Now we have this HSL. If you want any color or any specific color to put on effect, put on a specific or a small effect on that, video or even a photo, you can use this HSL option. So let's say I want any color. So I'm going to put in a bit of pink. So in the bit of pink, I'm going to just put, let's say I'm going to put a bit of tint of pink on this video. So I'm going to do is just fix on the hue. There we go. You can apply that. Let's say I'm going to just apply the saturation, the luminance. You'll be able to fix that. And you can see that it is not that visible, but as you change color or a couple of colors, you'll be able to see a couple of effect. Let's say I'm going to do is fix in the hue. You can see now this part, which is kind of red, is now changing the color. So you'll be able to apply any effect on any specific color. You can fix out the saturation. You can see now this color has a bit of saturation. You can also fix in the luminance. There we go. Now if you see that the color containing this is very popping up. So if I want orange, I can also do the same thing. I can also make it lighter or darker. It's basically up to you. Whichever color effect you want to apply, or whichever effect you want to apply on a specific color of the video, you can apply that. Let's say I want changes on yellow. So I'm going to just reset all of this, and I'm going to start off with yellow. So I'm going to do is just make sure that this looks a bit, let's say darker. The saturation should be a bit high, fixing the luminance a bit. And then I'm going to do is going to be going off to a bit to be darker. There we go. You can also make it green if you want to. So I'm going to do is just make it a bit darker, okay? And then I'm going to do is just put in a bit of saturation. I can fix in your luminance if you want to. And we'll play it up. And you can see this is how it will look like. And obviously, if you have a higher resolution video, it will, reduce the quality a lot less. Now, what I'm going to do is use a bit of purple. You can see the purple. I'm going to do is make it a bit lighter. And I'm going to do is fix in the saturation. Obviously, make it brighter. There we go. Luminance, fix that out. I'm going to do is just we have a bit of green color to have a bit of effect. I'm going to make them blue too. There we go. Rod blue. So you can see now all of them blue. The water is really blue right now. So you'll be able to change effect on basically every color you want. And obviously you can apply all of the effects as a keyframe too. So let me just show it to you right now. Now what I'm going to do is just go over here and then I'm going to select this color. Now you can change the hue, right? You can see how it works. So let's say keyframe over here, and at a certain part, I want that keyframe to be blue or totally blue. So let's see, able to see the color grading or the effect changing up. You can see now it just looks bluer, right? So you can also change it and make it a bit lighter. So I'm going to do is just delete it. Let's make it a bit more better. Now over here, I want this effect or this wave to be a bit more bluer, okay? Just a bit bluer. There we go. Now let's see the difference. You'll basically not be able to see a big difference, but you can see now this is how it works. A bit of blue has appeared up. And if you want more changes to be seen, or if you want the difference to be a bit more vivid, obviously you can apply more effect to it. So this is how you'll be able to, apply effects or, do some color grading over here on your videos. Now let's move on to the curves. So basically when you are doing color grading, one of the most, let's say complex, or let's say one of the most intermediate and one of the most hard part. So it's because you have to learn about, the wavelength of color and how it basically works on this curvature, okay? So there are a couple of different colors. Well, most of the time it's just RGB and OI, okay? So it's because your waveform or the wavelength of the color is basically based on red, green, and blue, all the colors which you can see. So you'll be able to customize these primary colors however you want. Let's say on the white part or the black and white part, I'm going to do is just apply a bit of change over here. I'm going to do is just make sure that this is a bit brighter. On the dark side, I'm going to do is make it a bit darker so that I can reduce the exposure and also increase or decrease the shadow. I want my mid length of wave to be somewhere around over here so that it gives me off a darker over here. There we go. So you'll be able to customize it, and obviously you can change your starting point, how the curves you want it to be. And also you can do the same thing on your ending point, okay? So customize it the way you want to. It's basically up to you how you want to work with it. And obviously you'll get a preview of how it works. And obviously you don't want it to be that dark either. And obviously after you apply any of these effects or any of these points, or you adjust any of them, you'll be able to change them later on too while you're editing the whole thing. So it's basically up to you how you want to work with it. So just customize it the way you want to. And obviously if you feel like it's very complex for you or it's very hard for you, then obviously you can skip this part out, because I know I've done color grading and I got used to it, or I got familiarized to it after a really long time. So let me just show it to you with the red color. Now if I have any red wavelength over here, I'm going to do is just customize it a bit. Now you can see I have a reddish part, but if I go down, it will give me the greener part of, let's say the color on the video. Now, one thing about Filmora is that it gives you a really easy idea about how the color will work, because on most of these curvatures or curves on other video editing software, it does not give you any idea about how these colors are going to work when you pull them down or when you pull them up. So you can see on the white part, you can just directly see that if you take any of the points and bring it over on the left top corner, it will get brighter. But if you take it on the bottom right corner, it will get darker. Okay, the same thing on each and every one of these colors. Red one is going to be, if you take it to the top left, it's going to be red or reddish, and if you take it to the bottom right, it will turn something like cyan. Okay, and the green is just, it turns out purple over here, this greenish neon over there, obviously yellow over here, and blue over here. So let's try each and every one of them out. I want a mid value over here. I want it to be a bit reddish. Okay, so I'm going to do is just take it a bit higher. I'm going to do is just make sure that even though if I make it higher, I want the other part of the wavelength to give me the backup to be greener at some point. So I'm going to do is just increase a bit more. There we go. You can apply a lot of these points so you don't have to worry about it. Just take it a bit more like this. There we go. Perfect. And then I'm going to do is go off the green, and just like you can see, we can also see how the other wavelengths are working too on different colors. So let's try it out with the green. I want that much of green. I'm going to do is just keep it somewhere like this. A bit darker. There we go. Perfect. And then I'm going to do the last one with the blue. There we go. Gonna apply changes to whichever one you want. Yellow, then a bit of blue. You can apply a bit of yellow if you want to, but I'm gonna do is just keep it bluer. And let's play it out. So you can see now this is basically how it works, and I have color graded this a bit just by using the curves of this color grading option. Now after you are done with the curves, now you have almost most ideas of color grading in Filmora. Now the last one which remains is the color wheel. Now in the color wheel, there are 3 different types of wheels. In Premiere Pro, if you've used any of those, you will see that there are 4 of those, because one is basically universal, because there is one wheel which allows you to customize all of them at once, but in Filmora you'll be able to individually do all of them. So let me just show you or give you the idea of how you'll be able to work with them too. So first off, you have to make sure that the color wheel is turned on. You can obviously turn off the curves too. It's basically up to you how you want to work with it. So on the curves, I'm going to do is just reduce this reddish part a bit. Okay, go off the color wheel, and then I'm going to do is just fix out 3 of them. Now, which is HMS, okay? So there is also luminance. Sometimes you'll be able to customize it, but we have highlights, midtones, and then we have is the shadows. To customize it the way you want to. Now, if you want your highlights to be darker or whiter, you can fix it out with this, slider. You can do the same thing for midtones and also shadows. So on the highlights, you'll be able to fix out the color wavelength. Now, how do you want it to look like? Let's say I want my highlights to have, a definite type of color tint. So I want my highlights to be somewhere around over here, a bit of blue, a bit of white. Now, the effects are the opacity. You can fix it right over here. Let's say I want that effect to be a bit above, above the mid-level. Now, I want the midtones to have a bit of pink effect. You can apply that, but I'm going to do is also apply a bit of, let's say just keep it somewhere around green, yellow, and blue at the same time, somewhere around the middle. I'm going to do is just decrease it just a bit, okay? And the last one, I want my shadows of the video to have a bit of, let's say, greenish or maybe a bit of bluish vibe. Okay, so I'm going to do is just apply this bluish tint. But if you want it to be, more original or like natural, I'm going to do is just keep it on yellow and green. And I'm going to do is just fix out the shadows effect too on, the brighter or the darker side. Now you can see this is how it works, and you can obviously undo each and every one of them. But if you want to redo the process, just press on Ctrl Y. You'll be able to see that it will be redone. But you can see sometimes when you undo the process, it cannot be redone. So make sure to apply that back again. I'm going to do is just apply that. There we go. Increase it just a bit, somewhere around the middle. What I'm going to do is just keep it on the bluish level. And there we go. We are almost done with all of our color grading options. And we'll just play it out. And there we go. This is basically how it will look like. Okay, so I've given you all of the ideas what you can do about these tools and how you'll be able to color grade your videos. But obviously, if you have any new ideas of how you want to apply any of the effects, just feel free to do it, because obviously it could give you a really good outcome. Okay, just follow these steps, able to get these tools and how you'll be able to use them. And obviously, just like I said, you'll be able to apply keyframes on each and every one of these effects too. So you can also try doing that. And another thing which I'm going to be showing you right now is going to be that if you want all of these effects to be applied on an adjustment layer, first things first, if you've applied and just disable each and every one of these options, so I'm going to do is just disable. There we go. Just go off the HSL curves. I'm going to just turn it off. Color wheel, turn it off. There we go. This we have the basic video. Now what you're going to do is just click on this adjustment layer, apply that over here, and then you're going to do is just apply all of these effects on this adjustment layer, not on the video. So even if you apply any of these effects over here, let's say I'm going to do is just apply a bit of this, be able to use them according to your need. Now, even if you have applied any of these effects, like what you can basically do is just click on the adjustment layer and delete it out, and then you're good to go. So it just works like a layer if you have any idea using Photoshop or Premiere Pro. So you'll basically know how this will work. So thank you for watching this video up till the very end. And if you have any confusion or any question about any part of the lesson about color, ask me. And obviously make sure not to skip any part. And thank you for watching this video up till the very end again. And let's move on to our next lesson without any further ado.